In a secret, forbidding land, modern science is poised on the edge of a breakthrough. An ancient animal is inspiring an improbable dream. "3,000 years ago, a survivor of the massive extinction that occurred at the end of the last ice age mysteriously disappeared from this lost corner of the far north. Now the Soviet Muskox is back on the Siberian tundra, and these living relics are yielding important clues to the distant past. It may even help scientists bring the ice age back to life. The circumpolar top of the world is a frozen ring, gripping North America and Russia together. It's a vast, barren, unforgiving realm. Deep in the heart of Russia, the Taimyr Peninsula in Siberia may be the most remote Arctic location of them all. A few years ago, you couldn't come here if you wanted to. This was the Soviet Union, the workers' paradise that went wrong. Power was centralized in the Kremlin in Moscow. If you stepped out of line there, you got a one-way ticket to the gulags of the Taimyr, trying to stay warm building factories and military bases across the north. This was the land behind the Iron Curtain, a secret battlefield of the Cold War. But the rise and fall of the Soviet Union was only a second in time for this place. Long before the Iron Curtain, there was the ice wall. 10,000 years ago, in the late Pleistocene epoch, this was an Ice Age oasis for muskox. Muskox and woolly mammoths were the most numerous prehistoric animals on the Taimyr Peninsula. Here, muskox were the cold weather batteries of the Ice Age, conserving energy when the temperatures plunged. When they found food, they hardly moved at all. In the glacial cold, muskox depended on soft underwool called kiviot to keep them warm in howling winter winds. 8 times warmer than sheep's wool, kiviot was the planet's best natural insulator. This huge coat also created an illusion of immense size. Beneath the thick wool, muskox ranged in size between a cow and a goat. They kept to themselves, herding together for protection and facing predators like the saber-toothed tiger with a wall of horns. For 1,000,000 years, this perfect biological design kept muskox alive, ranging as far south as Spain and the American Great Plains. At the end of the Ice Age, the great ice sheets melted, flooding vast sections of the planet. On the Taimyr, most Pleistocene animals died, including the woolly mammoth. Somehow, muskox survived. Then, 3,000 years ago, they too mysteriously disappeared from this part of the world. Nobody knows why. But in the high Canadian Arctic, muskox continued to thrive. In 1974, in a curious twist of fate, Canada gave the Soviet Union a gift of 10 muskox. Today, there are more than 2,000 muskox back on the Taimyr. It's almost as if they never left. Now the reintroduced muskox are teaching scientists here about life during the Ice Age, especially the extinct woolly mammoth.
And the connection of muskoxen and mammoths is of course a very good connection, because if you take a look at present-day muskoxen, their fur, their underfur, and you compare it with that of the woolly mammoth, which we discovered on the Taimyr Peninsula, you see there are a lot of similarities. And I want to find out why the mammoths died out 10,000 or 8,000 years ago, and why the muskoxen could survive on the Taimyr Peninsula till 3,000 years BP.
Dutch paleontologist Dick Maul is a legend among Ice Age researchers. Dick and French explorer Bernard Bouy study Ice Age animals pulled from the Siberian permafrost and kept frozen in a unique cave made of ice blocks in the town of Hatanga.
Why did this animal become extinct
on the Taman Peninsula about 3,000 years BP. And after their reintroduction are doing so well. Was it the virus which causes the extinction? Was it the climate which causes the extinction? Was it hunting which causes the extinction? We don't know. We know a lot about the mammoths, but we do not know exactly how they behaved, how huge were the herds they were living in with 30 animals or maybe 100. Did these herds gather together like the musk oxen? How were mammoths living during the Pleistocene? How were musk oxen living during the Pleistocene? So there are many mysteries which need to be solved.
Bernard Bouy and Dick Mall are using the muskox to unlock the secrets of the Ice Age. They're here on a bold adventure, traveling back in time to find out if it's possible to clone an extinct woolly mammoth. Bernard Bouy knows Siberia is not an easy place to work. In this rugged, remote landscape, there are always delays. Bernard has been organizing North Pole expeditions for the past decade. Today, he's chartered a helicopter to scout the territory, searching for clues to life during the Ice Age. But for the moment, he can't go anywhere. The pilots would rather fish than fly. Finally, the helicopter rises over the most northerly trees in the world, flying back to Hatanga.
You cannot come here and not be interested by the mammoth fauna, because when you come here, step by step, it happens like a virus, you know? Step by step, I become more and more interested.
The dream of creating an urban Arctic world died with the Soviets, and at first glance, nothing much is happening in Hatanga. The Cold War soldiers have gone home, life is peaceful, or so it appears. Beneath the quiet surface, this is a land of dreams and obsessions. In Hatanga, Bernard and Dick have both a below-ground ice cave and an above-ground lab, where visiting scientists come to view an impressive collection of ancient muskox and mammoth bones.
Yes, this one is all one bag.
In the lab, Dick Mall shows French molecular biologist Régis de Bruyne his favorite muskox samples.
It's kind of a muskox puzzle.
Régis hopes to extract DNA from the bones. It may prove Ice Age muskox were the same as today's.
There's a nice row of the short neck. This is the best specimen that was collected in the year 2000. This is typical for a muskox. And first of all, I thought, oh, maybe it's not so old, because the horn sheets were attached to the skull, which is unusual. So what we did, and you can see it here, we broke off a small piece of bone, brought it to the university in Groningen for a radiocarbon date, and it became clear that this specimen was more than 36,000 years old at the time the animal died. Keep it in your hand, it's quite heavy. So if you want to do some research on muskoxen, on the DNA of the muskoxen, then you are welcome to sample this one, because we can easily take away a small piece. And I don't know if you need a lot of...
No, only half a gram or something like that is enough.
So you are welcome to do.
Okay, it's great.
Yeah.
This one's really nice.
Yeah, but this is one of the most beautiful specimens we have.
Driven by their obsession with the past, Bernard and Dick search for answers. Can the Siberian tundra support other Ice Age animals besides the muskox? Can they actually bring a woolly mammoth back to life? For now, the treasures locked away in their ice cave are as close to the Ice Age as they can get. Built during the Cold War, the ice cave is a labyrinth of underground tunnels cutting through the permafrost. Traditionally a storehouse for reindeer and fish, many say it used to hold nuclear missiles. Now the ice cave stores one of the world's finest collections of Pleistocene bones. Each field season, the scientists collect an ancient harvest from the tundra. Skulls of muskox, horses, steppe bison, mammoths, and mammoth tusks are all kept here. This is where the scientists study the best samples.
When you work on mammoth or when you work on muskox, you have to understand the environment. But to understand the environment, you have to catch the specimen in the best condition. This cave, it's a perfect area, it's a perfect place to do this, because it's built in the permafrost. The temperature is more or less plus 4 or 5 degrees with a constant temperature, between 15 and 10 below zero.
The prize they seek is a frozen mammoth carcass containing living strands of DNA. In the last few years, Bernard and Dick have transferred 2 mammoths into the ice cave, the Yarkov and the Hook mammoth. Neither one turned out to be paleontology's elusive Holy Grail, but they have revealed other secrets.
So, Dick, did you find something interesting?
Yes. You want to know what this animal was eating? Its last meal?
Of course.
Here it is.
No.
Yes.
Did you? Oh, already?
Yeah, look, all vegetation remains. You'll see the soft tissues of the mammoth here. And there's a huge piece of skin here.
Very interesting.
But what we need to find is a carcass of a muskox. From muskoxen so far, as I know, there are no soft remains, soft parts preserved in the permafrost. Because of the reintroduction of muskoxen on the Taimyr Peninsula, when we come across something like a carcass of a muskox, our people in the teams will tell it's a present day one, because it's so difficult to tell what is of a recent animal or what is of an animal of 10,000 years ago. So what we can stress is that the reintroduction on the Taimyr Peninsula was very successful. The animal became extinct in this area 3,000 years before present, but it's causing a problem for our research.
The muskox survive and grows up in this environment now means that if we are successful in cloning a mammoth, we can find an area which is enough for some specimen.
Cloning a mammoth. If it does happen, it will be here in Siberia. Out on the tundra, the Ice Age, it seems, never did disappear. And just beneath the permafrost, it remains alive. Something has frightened the muskox. The dominant bull is worried. 10,000 years ago, it was a dangerous world for both the young and old. The big bulls protected the herd, guarding a good patch of food like a fortress. Muskox were hunted mostly by great Siberian wolves, and perhaps something even more dangerous. The first humans who arrived here at the end of the Ice Age were nomadic hunters. Muskox and giant reindeer provided rich hunting grounds for these distant cousins to the first indigenous peoples in North America. Perhaps these hunters killed off the muskox 3,000 years ago. Over time, the people of the Taimyr Peninsula became reindeer herders. Domestication has made Ice Age reindeer smaller, but more numerous. Until the Soviets reintroduced muskox, only reindeer and reindeer herders lived year-round on the tundra, just as they do today. In their traditional stories, extinct woolly mammoths live on as creators of the world. Canadian anthropologist Dr. David Anderson, who studies the Dolgan people, has found an ancient warning here.
Dolgan people in this part of Eastern Taimyr are very reverent about the earth. They don't like digging into the earth. And in fact, they say that anyone who's been hired by the state to dig an underground cellar, their family then suffers deaths or illness and so forth. People have also said that it's very bad to dig into the ground to bring out bones and mammoth ivory and so forth, and that you can only take things out of the land if it's on the surface. And the reason why they say that is that this part of the north of Taimyr, were a lot of shamans here, and that the ground is very sort of charged with this shamanic presence.
In this unforgiving polar environment, reindeer herders have maintained a precarious, isolated way of life for thousands of years. Now they've seen muskox return to the tundra along with another new breed, scientists digging in the permafrost for an elusive prize. To the Dolgan at least, resurrecting the Ice Age is a dangerous dream. Northeast of Hatanga, Canadian anthropologist David Anderson is traveling into the world of the Dolgan people, reindeer herders who live year-round on the tundra. Studying their traditional stories, David wants to learn why they believe extinct Ice Age animals should be left buried in the ground. On his way out to the tundra, David stops in the village of Novorodne to visit a Dolgan family with relatives among the reindeer herders. Zina Portiaga tells David about muskox and shows him some kiviat, perhaps the world's most expensive wool that she's gathered on the barrens.
The first time we saw muskox, some people were afraid and other people were curious. We didn't know what they were doing here. We still don't know. But their wool is very good quality, like down.
The muskox seems to be, the way that people talk about it, it's something that's very alive. They respect its vibrancy. It's something that it isn't mythic in its world-creating features, but it is something that's found a place within this ecosystem. The mammoth is a completely different example.
You should never dig into the ground. Bad things happen. An old man that was there when Bernard dug up the Yarkov mammoth, he died soon afterwards, along with his brother. It's because they dug into the earth and disturbed the shamans.
If in North America the raven is one of the creators of the world, in this part of Siberia it's the mammoth. They etch the earth with their tusks in order to create the rivers. The places where the mammoth stepped, this is the place where lakes are formed. And they're thought of as the creators of landscapes. You don't treat the remains of these world creators lightly.
Although a thick fog obscures the riverbanks, making it dangerous to navigate, it's time to sail. A day's journey upriver, nomadic reindeer herders are waiting for David Anderson. As the Dolgans have instructed him, he throws tobacco into the river, an offering to the shamans and the journey ahead. The captain is a good navigator, but the river's shallow north shore can only be reached with a smaller boat. Even then, people will still have to walk ashore or be carried. There's no such thing as a grocery store on the tundra, making gifts of flour or sugar most welcome. The good news is the reindeer herders are still here. The bad news is the fog is getting thicker. It's almost midnight, but with 24 hours of light this far north, it's hard to tell what time it is. A practical people, the Dolgan craft reindeer halters out of ancient mammoth ivory they found still poking above the frozen ground. Being practical keeps people alive on the tundra, although there are almost no landmarks and the way ahead is obscured by fog. The Dolgan always know where they're going. It's an ancient and complex form of navigation, guided only by past experience on the land. They say they can feel their way home. For thousands of years, indigenous people and reindeer lived in this area where muskox didn't survive until they were reintroduced. What are the secrets of survival? There's little evidence of dramatic climatic change 3,000 years ago. Did a deadly supervirus sweep through the ancient muskox herds? Or did nomadic hunters like the Dolgan hunt them to extinction? For those interested in returning other Ice Age animals to the tundra, these are important mysteries that need to be solved. Sorting bones back in Hatanga, Dick Moll is greeted by Vladimir Eisner,
Dick, hello.
an experienced tundra guide and longtime member of Bernard's team.
Here are two bags.
Show me what you have.
Vladimir believes he has found bones that might prove that nomadic hunters killed off the muskox.
Look, this bone. So specially broken.
I see what you mean, yeah?
Not by permafrost, but maybe for humans.
Why do you think humans did this?
Because they are so strange broken. Look.
You think they took the marrow out?
Maybe.
This is muskox.
And
The
this?
humorous. This is muskox. This is beautiful. I mean, for a paleontologist to see something like this is your heart is beating faster and faster.
Excited, Dick wants to see where they come from.
So tell me where the side is. It's really beautiful.
It's around 100 kilometers from Katanga.
100.
Yes.
Uh-huh. Where is the site exactly?
Here, a small lake called Semilach. It means in local dialect, lake with bones.
Lake with bones.
Yes, in local dialect.
If you think this is a kill site, we have to check it. You know, look how this fits, Vladimir. This is so
Yes.
beautiful. A find of a partial skeleton of a muskox is spectacular.
Now I'm interested in paleontologic founds too.
Very good.
I begin to love old bones.
Continue working as a hunter in this area and hunt for mammoths and muskox.
Good, I
Yeah?
do.
Good.
Looking for bones in the permafrost is like searching an enormous haystack for needles. They're there, but finding them takes good planning. Dick and Bernard will search together, while Vladimir Eisner will go farther north, to the north shore of Lake Taimyr, an area known as the Siberian Badlands. The holy grail of paleontology is still to be claimed. Somewhere out there, the intact frozen bodies of a woolly mammoth and an Ice Age muskox are lying in the permafrost, waiting to be found. Muskox and mammoth bones hidden in the permafrost can solve the mystery of the Ice Age extinction if the right bones are found. On the tundra of the Taimyr Peninsula, the search is on.
To go everywhere.
Bernard and Dick are driving a Russian monster truck known as a Bronto, specially designed to drive over the soggy tundra without getting stuck. It's a unique vehicle. If necessary, the Bronto can float and drive across the lake. For now, it'll follow along the lake shore. This is where the best specimens might emerge from the melting permafrost. Further north in the Siberian Badlands, Vladimir Eisner looks for muskox bones cracked open by early human hunters. But first, he stopped to collect wild mushrooms. Years of Arctic experience have taught him to depend on the land for survival and companionship. Up here, isolated and alone, he's seen men go crazy.
Men are sitting here for 3-4 months, sometimes for half a year, without seeing nobody, without a radio sometimes, only speaking with a dog. And sometimes people become mad and the roof is gone. No, people run out in the tundra and they die.
In the days of the Soviet Union, these abandoned ruins were one of the most northerly weather stations in the world. Vladimir used to work here as a meteorologist before becoming a guide and hunter. Now there is no one living here, no one to forecast the weather. The Soviet Empire has turned to rusted metal, just another set of bones laid to rest on the tundra. For Russians today, state support is long gone, and those who choose to remain in the north need to find new employment, like searching for the Ice Age. For Bernard and Dick, the new Siberia is the world's best location for researching the Earth 10,000 years ago.
You want to find more, Dick?
Each year, the permafrost erodes, unearthing Pleistocene bones scattered in the shoreline mud, waiting to be found.
It's good that there is not a lot of tourism in this area. So otherwise there will be nothing on the beach.
Oh, yeah.
Along with ancient muskox, bison, and wolf bones, there may be 1 million mammoth carcasses beneath the tundra's frozen surface.
No, but I'm sure that you come each morning.
Oh.
You can find something, yeah?
If you have this in 20 minutes.
Yeah.
Let's take a look.
Back at the abandoned meteorological station, the recent past is yielding a treasure of another kind. Several tons of free gasoline left behind by the Soviets, a last gift to a changing world.
Before, clear that we found bones in tundra, but we throw them out. In the tusk, we collected to make handles for knives or to give it for our friends as souvenirs. They are interesting and beautiful things. And now we began to understand that these bones are from very old animals.
Uh-huh. Look how it is melting fast. You saw this?
No.
It's also muskox, upper jaw, with 2 molars.
You find close
On
to
the beach,
the...
yeah? And this is from a carnivore. I guess this is from a polar fox.
Of an old one?
This is an old one, I'm sure. Because if you look at the beach,
Oh, yeah.
close to the side, to our campsite.
Yeah.
The only full-time human residents on Lake Taimir's north shore are a few hardy fishermen. In the Soviet era, there were only gulag camps here, from which no one returned alive. But Nickolai the fisherman chose this place to live years ago. Until today, he thought he'd seen everything it was possible to see here. He's found a mammoth carcass on the shoreline and brought a thigh bone back to his fishing hut.
Ever since I was young, I wanted to be a fisherman on the tundra. I love the job. It's a hard job, but you have to love your job. In the last 5 years, I've seen many more muskoxen than I've seen before. I'll even see them down on the beach by Lake Taimir.
Enduring brutally tough conditions may have finally paid off for Nickolai. He knows he's made a valuable find. There's more than a thigh bone out there. Today, Nickolai is proud. His friend Vladimir has called on the radio and says he'll come to have a look. As rain starts to fall, Nickolai waits. In either heavy summer downpours or vicious winter blizzards, waiting was a key survival strategy of Ice Age muskox. In their world, time was meaningless. Instead of migrating to better weather like reindeer, muskox stayed where they were, huddling together and eating what they could find on the tundra floor. Astonishingly thick coats kept them warm and dry. The Dolgan people say that bad things happen to those who dig in the earth to find mammoths. With little luck of finding good bone specimens and their Russian monster truck stuck in the lakeside mud, Bernard and Dick must be asking each other if the Dolgan legends are true. Ice Age muskox and mammoth sank into mud sinkholes like this one, where they died and were preserved in permafrost. Will their Bronto meet the same fate? Miles away, in a strange, heavy fog on Lake Taimir's north shore, old friends Vladimir and Nickolai repair fishing nets. Nickolai tells Vladimir that he thinks he's made a great discovery, and the thigh bone is just a sample. The rest of his mammoth is stored at another fishing camp called Cape Sablera. For Vladimir, it's a great surprise. Looking for broken muskox bones, has he stumbled by accident onto the holy grail of paleontology? On the vast Siberian tundra, the quest to find Ice Age muskox and mammoth remains continues. And now a fisherman has made a great discovery. Eager to see it, Bernard Bouy and Dick Moll are frustrated. Their tundra car has met its match in the mud, and for now, they're not going anywhere until a helicopter is called in by radio to pull them out. In this extreme environment, life hangs by a thread. Helicopters, like the big Mi-8, are a lifeline to safety, flown by battle-hardened veterans of the Soviet war in Afghanistan. Finally, things are looking up for Bernard and Dick. Their car is flown right to Cape Sablera, where the bones are stored. After years of near misses, searching for the perfect specimen, Nickolai's find is exciting news. Is this the one? The source of intact mammoth DNA? At Cape Sablera, Nickolai is waiting to show them the mammoth's tusks and molars he's discovered.
Oh, this looks like a pear.
Looks like a pear. It's a real pear.
Oh.
And Bernard and Dick are impressed.
Oh la la.
Oh, in very nice condition.
Oh
Look.
la 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 la.
The quality is excellent. This is a wonderful. I have to push this a little bit more.
Interesting.
Excellent. When you look into the alveoli, in the pulpar cavity, you almost can see through it.
Yeah.
And we take the outer curve.
Measuring the tusks yields information about their age, sex, and their value. There's a lot of high-quality ivory here, and everyone in the Taimyr knows it's in high demand on either Russia's legal or black markets.
What do you estimate the weight? 40 kilos?
I would say 35. I become professional in picture with a tusk. Like
These mammoth tusks are worth over $10,000, but to Bernard and Dick, they could be priceless. For now, it's better to document the promising find and return later.
Not only tusk and this place,
This, and when they have other bones, they could
they
be
have
an entire complete skeleton.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Really well preserved.
Let's take it to Hatanga.
No?
I'm joking. It would be a wonderful addition for our collection in Hatanga.
Yeah.
We can name this mammoth in honor of Nickolai, the Nickolai Mammoth.
Yeah, that's good.
Because it's indicating there's more.
Yeah.
So it needs to have a name.
Yeah.
So,
Nickolai Mammoth.
and Cape Sablera we have already so often in our collection.
Yeah.
So the Nickolai Mammoth would be a good idea. And maybe he wants to donate them to us.
It will be much more better idea.
Yeah.
Bernard makes Nickolai an offer for the tusks.
This way, I think.
Nickolai asks for time to consider it. Perhaps there's a better offer somewhere out there. Today, muskox look exactly as they did in the last great ice age, when woolly mammoths were alive. The high Russian Arctic is as close to the remnants of the Ice Age glaciers as life here can get. In this harsh world, muskox are evolution's perfect design for the tundra's short summers and long, cold winters. Due to global warming, there may never be another ice age, but the presence of muskox proves that some Ice Age animals can not only survive, but thrive on the Taimyr. 10,000 years ago, there were many more woolly creatures here, thriving in the shadow of fearsome glaciers. But when the ancient ice walls melted, most of those animals died. Thick coats and an uncanny ability to get by with meager food sources help muskox survive. On the modern tundra, the woolly mammoth would likely starve. As far back as the Dolgan reindeer herders can remember, the tundra has been a world of lakes and frozen ground. Most of the year they eat a steady diet of reindeer, but in the late summer it's fish, the best raw freshwater lake salmon in the world. Year-round, these nomads live in movable huts made of animal skins. Today, the thick fog prevents them from moving camp, so David Anderson asks the camp's elder for stories about the muskox of their past.
Muskoxen used to live here a long time ago. The old people used to say they once lived here and then they died out. The old people said that at one time there was very high water, and the water covered all of the land, and the land disappeared. And that's when the muskoxen died out and there weren't any more. And there was nothing left in the area, just tundra. To this day you can still find the remains of wood and trees.
10,000 years ago, the melting ice sheets hit the north like a climate bomb. Incredibly, these reindeer herders remember such a time.
The Dolgan folklore that you find written in the literature has many examples of flooding. The shamans knew that there was a flood coming, would make a boat and save some animals on the boat, but some other animals like the mammoths and the muskox didn't get onto the boat, and they died in the high waters and weren't able to survive.
The collapse of the Ice Age glaciers brought the end of one world and the beginning of another. For almost everyone on Earth, it's a forgotten time. But on the Taimyr, the story of these origins has passed on from generation to generation, as fresh today as it was 5 minutes after the fall of the ice wall. Is this where scientists can find their answers to questions about the Ice Age environment? Here, and nowhere else on Earth, the Ice Age is alive in living memory. On the remote tundra of the eastern Taimyr Peninsula, a strange fog has been thickening for days. The Dolgan reindeer herders say it's the worst fog anyone's seen in 30 years. The shamans are angry, they say. Someone must have dug into the earth and disturbed a mammoth. Canadian anthropologist David Anderson has found that the idea of returning a cloned mammoth to the tundra frightens the Dolgan. They're still getting used to the muskox. Animals returning from the frozen land of the dead must prove they can survive on the tundra, and survival here isn't easy. Today, in spite of the fog, the Dolgan are lassoing their reindeer so the vet can inoculate the herd. It's a reindeer rodeo. For thousands of years, indigenous people on the Taimyr have survived together with reindeer. And after 30 years, the reintroduced muskox are only now being accepted.
People have said that when they first saw muskox, they were shocked that they were so big and furry and that people saw them as being somewhat out of place. Now that the people have had a chance to watch their behavior, they say, well, it's good to see something thriving in our land. Yeah, I think it's a very healthy worldview to look at muskox as something that are alive and that sort of give sort of a living aspect to the land.
And just as they were during the Ice Age, muskox have again become a part of the Siberian Arctic. In the ice cave in Hatanga, French molecular biologist Régis de Brun is carefully taking tissue samples from the hook mammoth.
It's really amazing to consider that today we can retrieve the DNA of an individual that was living maybe 20,000 years before present.
But so far, intact strands of mammoth DNA have yet to be found, and what has been found has degraded over time. No good for cloning. Not yet, anyway.
We think that we will find here in the frozen mammoths much more DNA than what we are used to with mammoths, because the mammoths we are used to working with are kept in museums for decades. And here the mammoths just get out from the permafrost, are kept in frozen conditions, which are really good conditions for preserving DNA for a long term.
Even so, cloning an extinct mammoth seems nearly impossible. The tissue must be frozen perfectly at the moment of death. There's a 1 in a million chance of ever finding such a specimen. But the Siberian permafrost is the world's best natural freezer, and Bernard and Dick are already planning next year's expedition to dig out the Nickolai Mammoth. In the meantime, they keep on making important discoveries about the Ice Age environment.
Most people think that the mammoths and the mammoth fauna were adapted to a snow-covered tundra, but that's wrong. We know from the fossil record that the mammoth was adapted to a grassland environment together with the associated fauna, including the muskox. That the muskox are doing so well today on the tundra, which is even snow-covered in winter, and the winter is extremely long here. It's something which is unique.
What is very interesting working on mammoth and the megafaune at that time is that you can understand better how was the environment at that time and what was the life at that time. Not only the life of the mammoth, but also the life of a human. Yeah. And to understand the life of a human, like you need for the mammoth, you have to understand the environment.
In the decades since this secret Soviet world was open to the West, many answers about the Ice Age have been unearthed on the Siberian tundra. Bernard and his team are closing out their Arctic field season. There's much to celebrate. Nickolai the fisherman has agreed on a price and will sell them his mammoth tusks. Perhaps next year, the Nickolai mammoth will yield intact DNA and they can clone an ancient Ice Age mammal. Either way, this is the best place on Earth to solve the scientific mysteries that remain frozen in time. Siberia is a land where oral tradition still remembers the last Ice Age, and stories are still told of a time when muskox roamed these vast grassland plains beside woolly mammoths. Muskox survived the end of the Ice Age the same way they survived the collapse of the Soviet Union. They found the last good place to eat and barely noticed the disaster unfolding all around them. No one knows why they did disappear, but when they were returned to the Taimyr after a 3,000-year absence, it was like they never left. Canada and Russia are linked by the Arctic and now by one of nature's great evolutionary creations. The top of the world is once again the realm of muskox, a world without borders, a world beyond time. For the rest of the creatures of the last Ice Age, they're probably gone forever. But if bets could be placed on evolution's winners and losers, the odds are good that the muskox, nature's ultimate survivalist, will be around for a long time coming, weathering, as it always has, the unpredictable winds of change.